Nicole Scott here from Mobile Geeks, and today I'm going to be unboxing the #1 S6i. Now, if you want to own a Samsung Galaxy S6, but you don't want to fork out the $700, this is a $120 option that may be right for you. So let's get right into the unboxing. Now we're greeted with the phone first thing. Comes in a small plastic bag, and there are a few barcodes in there. Now the first thing you're going to notice is that this looks very similar to a Samsung Galaxy S6. The biggest difference is, well, it says #1 and not Samsung on the back. And from the front, I mean, I think in Japan it doesn't come with the branding. So there's actually a few geographies where you don't find the Samsung branding there at the top. But the chassis and the way the camera protrudes there, there's a lot in common. Now, I'll get into the handset in just a minute. Let's see what else ships with the number. So here's the PSU. And then we have a micro USB cable and a user manual. So here we have it, the #1 S6i. Now they have totally nailed the form factor. The device is only 6.8 millimeters thick. It's got the exact same dimensions as the Galaxy S6. The aluminum chassis here on the side feels fantastic. So this is a nano SIM card slot. Unfortunately, there is no micro SD card slot, just like the Galaxy S6. We've got the power button. Now, one of the things that I should point out, we've reviewed quite a few #1 phones before, but these buttons, actually, let me hit the power on this so you can see the boot time. But the buttons feel very solid, much better than what we had on the S5 clone from them. On the back, we have the same raised camera, so you can see that it protrudes, 16 megapixel. This is a heart rate sensor. There's a single tone flash there. Around the bottom, we have the speaker. Here's their boot animation. I think they could do a much better job with that, to be honest with you. But let's keep on walking around the phone. So we've got the single speaker. There's the micro USB port, headphone jack. Around this side, we have the separated volume buttons, which also feel really great. Now, the back of this device is also made of glass, just like the front. Now, the display is 720p, but to be honest with you, I think it looks, I mean, it's definitely not the same quality as what we have on the Samsung. But for $119, oh, this isn't, I mean, it does wash out to white a bit, but I think that it's a pretty bright display. Yeah, let's go back to there. See how that's just blowing out the camera a little bit? Let's pull that back down. So they've actually done a pretty decent job with creating this display. This home button as well, it feels pretty good. It has a different texture than the glass. It's a little kind of rough or matte. It doesn't quite feel as solid as the buttons on the side. I think they could maybe have done a little bit more. So you can kind of see that. It kind of wobbles a little bit. So that's definitely something that, the only thing build quality wise right now that I have a fault with. You can see there that we have the capacitive touch buttons here. They've also included this screen here where you can open the notifications. This, you can actually change this position around everywhere. Now, one of the great things about getting a #1 device is that it usually doesn't come with a lot of bloatware. And for a Chinese handset, these guys have really held back on some of the things that are usually available. So usually you get like smart cleaners and things like that, but we have OneDrive and Skype. Calendar tool, right? So this is kind of the standard what you would get with a Samsung device. No, there's the S Voice there. Now for preloaded apps, Twitter, WeChat, WhatsApp, Flipboard, OneDrive, and Skype. I mean, so of things that are preloaded, they've actually done a really great job. Now let's try out the heart rate sensor. So let's put that back there, and then I'm going to hit start. So now it doesn't do continuous heart rate measuring. Counts up there. I would say my heart rate is a little bit higher than that right now. I'm not really sure about the accuracy, but I did play around with it a couple of times, and I've gotten like incredibly low numbers like 51, right? So I think it may be, if you're counting on that as a thing that you actually use this device for, then maybe that may not be a big selling feature here. But let's just talk about the performance of this so that you can kind of get a sense of what's going on. Now, this is running Android 5.0, which I think is just absolutely great. So if we head into the settings, let me just pull that up back here, Android 5.0. I did an update before this. Now, one of the things I've noticed with the update, I've already done this, but it's still offering it to me. So it's not actually checking to see if this is the update that's installed. So that's a little bit of a not so great feature here. But under the hood, I haven't told you what the processor is on this because I just wanted for you guys to get a sense of how quickly things open. And it's not bad. This is actually running a MediaTek. It's the MT6582, which is a quad-core processor. Now, here's where we're going to start to get into the things that aren't so great about this device. Now, it's got 1 GB of RAM, which I'm not a big fan of, and it's got 16 GB of memory. Now, this is going to be a problem because there's no micro SD card slot. There's only a nano SIM card slot there. So this means that you can't update your memory. You're just stuck. And the crappy thing is, it doesn't come with a larger option. So there's no 32 or 64. You can't even pay more money. They just have the $119 version with 16 gigabytes. Now this isn't going to be great, to be honest with you. Now, taking a look at the camera, so let's just check out some modes here. Live photo. Oh, good, we've got Beautify. So this is a 5 megapixel shooter here on the front. Now, let me swap that around. Look a bit cross-eyed there. So let's see what that front-facing camera does. Now I had the Beautify on. Oh wow, I look so wrinkle-free and noisy. But overall, not too bad. So this is with the rear-facing camera. This is a 16 megapixel shooter. So now I'm very impressed with this. Now the Samsung Galaxy S6 has an amazing camera, like an amazing camera. But Chinese smartphones generally don't do well with the software processing, but what we're seeing on the sides here are sharp lines with only a little bit of noise. So overall, with like the way that this is lit and the shadowing, how the hand is pretty much in focus, and then this one is a kind of blurry where you kind of have that depth of field, I think that they've done a pretty decent job. And I'm shocked that this is on a $119 phone. So in the full review, I'm definitely going to put this up against the Samsung Galaxy S6 and give you guys a real comparison on what you're getting on the S6 versus the S6i here. So this is the LG Watch Urbane, also not looking too bad. So the camera being something that is usually lacking kind of seems not too bad on here. Now, the battery life, usually the clones tend to go all day, but I'm going to have to do some testing to see whether or not this can be all day, just because it is so thin, 6.8 millimeters, like I mentioned. So usually you can get through the day if you have light usage. So the number one S6i only costs $119. Now there are a few things that you are sacrificing for this price point, but the one thing you're not is a gorgeous overall smartphone design. Now the number one S6i does have a few things that may be a problem for power users, mainly the limited storage space with no micro SD card for expansion. The battery life usually will get you through the day if you're a moderate to light user. And the display, it's 720p, but it's $120. So you're going to have to decide whether or not these things are important for you. Now, this was just an unboxing and a first impression. I haven't done any review on this device yet. And I'm going to be doing a side-by-side comparison with the Samsung Galaxy S6, obviously. So this is going to be your time to weigh in. Let me know in the comments specific things that you would like to see in the side-by-side. And to make sure you don't miss that video, why don't you subscribe to our channel? So I'm your host, Nicole Scott from Mobile Geeks.